Have you ever heard of Al Capone?
The year was 1931. Al Capone's trial opened, and he was labeled public enemy number one. Capone had a storied career to this point, and he was not about to go down without a struggle. First, we should get into a little background. In 1919, Congress passed a nationwide prohibition which banned the production of and the consumption of newly produced alcohol. This led to a heavy increase in gang activity, which is where Capone makes his start. Capone first moved to Chicago in 1919. He had some gang involvement in New York prior to this, but it's unimportant for the purpose of this video. Capone joined Torrio's bootlegging organization at this time and had the task of dealing with others in the business. Well, anyway, in 1925, Torrio was shot multiple times while returning home from a shopping trip. So, he just gave the gang to Capone, and Capone was ruthless. He was known to use intimidation and bribery against companies and rival gangs, and is widely believed to be responsible for things such as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. But there was no way to prove his many crimes. But he was deemed worthy of an investigation, and Frank Wilson, the investigator against Capone, was only going to accept one outcome. Leading up to his trial, Capone made an attempt at plea bargaining. Wilson, however, ignored these attempts and pursued the case anyways, with the judge completely agreeing that there would indeed be a trial. What were his charges? Well, of course it was Capone's failure to pay his taxes that led the IRS to him. There's a lot of evidence supporting his large income, including proof of businesses he owned, like his gambling hall, proof of purchases he made, like his home on Palm Island, and they had many witnesses as well, and Capone seemed neck-deep in evidence that was against him. And the defense? It was incredibly weak. They attempted to claim that Capone lost all his money via gambling, which wouldn't matter anyway? They made many attempts to essentially tell the jury that taxes were bad and to let him free, while also still arguing that Capone, the entire time, had paid his necessary dues. Overall, I would say they gave the court garbage. Unsurprisingly, Al Capone was found guilty on 23 charges of tax evasion and was sentenced to 11 years of prison, which is remarkably high for tax evasion. This sentence was likely due to the knowledge of his other crimes being extremely common, and the judge likely saw it fit to keep him away in prison for a while. He wound up serving time in Alcatraz, but was let out early due to medical issues. In Canada, our courts require two things to prove somebody guilty of a crime. Firstly, you need the actus reus, which is the physical act of committing a crime. For example, if I took a bladed weapon and slaughtered a poor homeless child, physically doing this act would be the actus reus. And secondly, you need the mens rea. The mens rea is essentially the guilty mindset you have that is required to commit a crime here. In my previous example, my knowing that murder is a crime and knowing that I am murdering a small child would make up my mens rea. Now, why am I telling you Canadian law stuff that you'll never need? I needed to include this next part for my law class, and I didn't want viewers from outside my classroom and country to be confused. But did Al Capone show both of those things? The answer is yes, and you probably can already tell what they are. His actus reus is not necessarily made up of an act here, but the act of not doing an act. His failure to pay his taxes, which was proven beyond a reasonable doubt, is his actus reus. and all those other crimes he committed, but those don't ever go to court, so they don't count. His mens rea stems from him knowing that he legally is required to pay taxes, and him willingly not doing so. His case was important, at least in the States. He was a huge mobster, and the hijinks he pulled reeked of 40s gang movies. He also got 11 years for a crime that's like the highest anybody's ever gotten for tax evasion. In Canada, tax evasion can normally get you fines of 50% to 200% of the taxes, and jail time for up to 2 years. And in the States, you can get up to 5 years and $100,000 in fines, which is definitely around what Capone got.